Amy Coney Barrett faced, day 2 of Senate confirmation hearings when she was asked about issues like health care, reproductive rights, same-sex marriage, and how she would handle a contested election. And here's some of what went on.
My colleagues are asking you to recuse yourself from litigation around the Affordable Care Act.
Well, Senator, recusal itself is a legal issue, so that's not a question that I could answer in the abstract.
In 2006, you signed your name to an advertisement published in the South Bend Tribune. It described Roe v. Wade as, quote, an exercise of raw judicial power, and called for putting, quote, an end to the barbaric legacy of Roe v. Wade. I would suggest that we not pretend that we don't know how this nominee views a woman's right to choose.
Senator Harris just called you a liar. Are you a liar?
I am not a liar.
So, did any of the answers make you feel better or worse about the idea of her becoming the next Supreme Court justice? I'll start with you, Sonny. I still think she's not been on the bench long enough for me to feel comfortable with this, but I pose that question to you. What'd you think?
Yeah. Well, she's only been on the Court of Appeals bench of the Seventh Circuit for 3 years, so she doesn't have that much judicial experience, but she is a brilliant lawyer. We know that, and of great intellect. But she wasn't very transparent yesterday in many of her answers. She was pretty opaque. Most Supreme Court hearings do sound like this. They don't want to commit to many opinions. Of course, Justice Ginsburg, who she would be replacing on the bench, and to be clear, she will get this seat because the Senate Republicans do have the votes. Justice Ginsburg was very clear about the issues during her hearing, especially the issues relating to women's rights, and this judge was not. I mean, she just refused to answer questions really about health care, about voter suppression, about Roe v. Wade. But we have plenty to glean what her positions are about all of those issues. And so I think it is what it is at this point. It just is what it is, right?
It is. Yep. Joy, what was your impression of her? Did anything shift or enlighten?
She seems very smart. I mean, I'm impressed with her, the breadth of her knowledge as a lawyer, for sure. And she seems very nice. She seems like a nice Catholic lady. The only people who are bringing up her religion are the Republicans, by the way. But, when she held up that empty notebook to show that she has no notes, Kellyanne Conway on Twitter was all over that, how brilliant she is. She doesn't need notes. To me, that was symbolic of the empty answers she was giving. It was like, this is the tabula rasa of my Supreme Court nomination. When she said that, for example, can the president move the date of the election? The answer is no, he can't, period. It's the law, and she seems to know the law. As I said, she's really smart. She said she'd have to hear the litigants and read the briefs. Why? It's already a law. Just say yes. Then Klobuchar asks, under federal law, is it illegal to intimidate voters at the polls? The answer is, under the law, yes, it's illegal, but she wouldn't say it. But let me take you to Mazie Hirono's moment, and then we'll talk about that for a sec, if you want.
I do want to be clear that I have never discriminated on the basis of sexual preference and would not ever discriminate on the basis of sexual preference.
You use the term sexual preference to describe those in the LGBTQ community. And let me make clear, sexual preference is an offensive and outdated term. It is used by anti-LGBTQ activists to suggest that sexual orientation is a choice.
I certainly didn't mean and, would never mean to use a term that would cause any offense in the LGBTQ community.
Okay, so she, sort of apologizes for saying that. But to me, it's like there's something wrong with somebody who's in that position, who in 2020 doesn't know that people's sexuality is not a preference. It is because if it was a preference, many homosexual people that I know would not choose it, because why would you choose to be vilified and attacked and have to be behind the 8 ball all the time when it comes to the law? You know, when it took years and years and years and years and years to get married. I mean, you would not pick that. Why not pick the easy way? So it just, to me, it showed a kind of either a naivete, or was she dog whistling to some of her side? I'm not sure what was going on there, but I thought it should be pointed out.
Okay. Right. And what about you, Sarah? Did you see more than you thought you would see less than you thought you would see? What was your takeaway?
I saw exactly what I thought I'd see. Let me start by saying I firmly disagree with this appointment for two reasons. One, we're in an election right now. I need to get this out. And we're in the throes of a pandemic, and we haven't gotten any stimulus relief passed, which is more pressing than this appointee. Two, I disagree fundamentally with Amy Coney Barrett's judicial philosophy, which leaves us on two sides of a fence that never the two shall meet, it seems. But I was impressed with her legal prowess, which Joy and Sunny both mentioned. She was calm, cool, collected, unflappable. The notebook moment actually was different for me, Joy, because when Gorsuch and Kavanaugh were there, they had tons of books. So to have a woman pull up a blank notebook and you could see she just speaks straight through, I was impressed with that. It's also a good example that you can disagree with someone and not hate them. I found her likable, like you, Joy, and impressive in her acumen. But it was nerve-wracking to watch, because as issues that are hit close to my home, like LGBTQ and a woman's rights, that was bothersome, because you could see where these votes would go if brought to the Supreme Court. But one thing that she said that was important for no one to forget was she said the Supreme Court doesn't just decide on a Tuesday to address these issues. They have to go through all these courts to get to the Supreme Court. This is a reminder that elections matter, even the midterms and the presidential, because if you pad the local and the state with the judges you want, that is your first line of defense that it never makes it to this imbalanced court.